Hello and welcome to a new video with me, the T-Rex Chaos. Today's program is explaining the timeline of the Chaos Dragon until the year 2 million, also 2,500,000, yes, so 2.5 million. And then the second topic will be the future of this franchise and my plans for it, of the Chaos Dragons. And the third is how you can influence the videos that I'm making. Yeah. So, the timeline of the Chaos Dragons, we have it right here. There are some more steps in between years. I tried to make it in the 500,000 each, so this video isn't an hour long. First off, we have the creation of everything. Nathan be like. Thus, create planes, God, universe, magic, and planes. So, we will be talking from 0 to 500,000. A lot happens here. We talk about from one year to another timeline also. So like from 0 to 500,000 and 500,000 to a million and so on. First, from 0 to 100,000 is basically the age of gods, where gods were like very powerful beings that influenced the mortal realm like multiple times. They were basically completely unchallenged by anything there at that point. Then, yeah, there were a lot of worship from them, from the mortals, because they like worshipped the gods, and the gods really didn't believe to be defeated, because they were like so powerful that nobody could reach that high. Well, until they discovered a certain type of magic. This magic is called summoning magic, where they summoned like elementals, and some people decided to just open portals to planes to get elemental lords and so on out of there. And that began the era of the Lord of the Burning Skies. Where basically, how can I say it? The Lord of the Burning Skies was basically where he got his title from. Because the gods once declared him as undefeatable by any means necessary from them and so on. And gods were even defeated with the help of him, because mortals just sacrificed themselves to summon him for like 10 seconds or so to raise entire planets. The gods later declared him as a weapon that shouldn't be used. So yeah, that happened in that time. So the year 500,000 was where the gods decided to create the dragons and the cyber dragons. The cyber dragons advanced themselves, so the origin of the cyber dragons can be put here as a story when you want to read it. I will link down below to the Wattpad where you can read all the stories that I will be naming here in this timeline. So, Age of Advancements, yeah, just as I told, the cyber dragons helped everybody advance a bit more, and also tried to give them technology to travel between planets. That is important because the cyber dragons are the only dragons who invented that, and that's why the universe started ramping up quickly. So the universe advanced because of the cyber dragons. They just invented like everything, travel between planets and give them to other races so they can break earlier out of the barrier, which is like the barrier around the universe they're trying to escape from. So that's like their thing. And at the year 1 million we have another age beginning and a lot of important events. That's why we have only 1 million right now marked. In the top left, we have the birth of Gambra, Umbaronas, and Electro. Those are like 5 Elder Dragons that are very important for the rest of the story, so please remember the names. It will be important. And we have the beginning of the Age of Lose of the Gods. This is an age where the gods started to lose influence over the mortal plane and didn't really care about it at the beginning. Until they noticed that almost every single, because before that they had influence on every single race, besides when they created the dragon, then they started to lose a bit. Because the gods are like arrogant. Well, you can say they are. mean to the rest of the races and the models. Yeah, that is like the gods thing. They don't care about really models. They just have their conflicts in mind and their fun that they want to make. That is the age of the gods, also the age of loose of the gods. Now we go to 1.5 million, where a lot happens. The short stories that are taking place here are the ChaosDragons, the laboratory incident, where Uberonus investigates his laboratory and finds a death cult. I have a video on that. Where it's pretty much death cult as a title thumbnail. You can check that out. There I explain the entire story with some art. The ChaosDragons, a letter to the Prime Dragon Gambler. As I mentioned, the name is important. That is pretty much Helon explaining that Selpha begins his ascension to godhood. That is one of the important events. And 2, the gods almost lost all influence, as I explained earlier. They started to lose. Here they have almost nothing anymore. And the first laboratory incident. The laboratory is very important for the dragons because they cannot reproduce naturally, so they have to clone themselves to reproduce. So yeah, that is like kind of their thing. So yeah, the laboratory is very important for dragons. So we have the year, this is a very specific year. That is because we are now in the age of rethinking. That is where the models start to rethink their decisions on certain things. And where Selpha helped them to see clearer and help to what they call Nathion. Try to defeat and work to get him to him. Because he's the one living outside of the barrier that the ChaosDragons see. The rest of the races know that the barrier, they don't really believe them because they don't really care. But the barrier is there and Nathion is outside of it. And Selpha wants to get to Nathion. That's why the ChaosDragons, the Prime Dragon and the last stand of the Scaly. Selpha is the leader of the Scaly, so he kind of fights Uberonus at the beginning, defeats him with, he doesn't get unharmed out, but he can heal himself really quickly. So he defeats him and tries to convince him to work with him to get to Nathion. That is pretty much the beginning of the age of rethinking the strategy and where they want to go in the future. Uberonus and Selpha decide to go to Nathion in the future. You know, the one who created the universe. So next stage. This is like 1 year later or so 1000 or so. Where Selpha wanted to know more about portal magic to get to Nathion easier because he lives like in the 4th plane, because outside is in the 4th plane. So he wanted to know more about portal magic because he, as a god, has self-portals he can open to higher planes, but not exactly the same as portal magic. So they go to Ragnaros, which is pretty much the Chaos Dragon, the portal to the White Desert. The meeting of Ragnaros with Uberonus and Selpha. This is what happens in this timeline. So the year 1.6 million. The Chaos Dragon Ragnaros Curse of Infinite Magic short story takes place here. This is pretty much where Ragnaros almost dies because of his ability as he became an Elder Dragon or Prime Dragon, however you want to call it. Prime Dragons have a unique ability when they reach 100,000, when they are like 100 dragons, when they are 100,000 years old, are considered Prime Dragons. Prime Dragons because they are like almost half gods or gods at that point. And Ragnaros has this curse that he has infinite magic and his body is slowly disintegrating. The irony of the best dragon who can cast best magic in the universe dies because he has too much power. Yeah, the irony. So good, we come to another next important event. On the right you can maybe see that the text is almost long everything. No short stories right now take place because I didn't write them and I want to leave your space open to vote on it. If I should make any short stories on this. Important events that are happening here. Selpha gets imprisoned for convincing Uberonus to fight the dragons, which that is what the dragons believed, so they imprisoned him. Well, Selpha let them imprison him. They could not actually bring him to prison, so Selpha saw that as a point. This is like in reverse order. This happens after Uberonus begins a war against the dragons and reduces the population to around 2 million. And it's the beginning of the Age of Silence, because everybody noticed that the dragons weren't actually trying to. Well, they weren't actually trying, because at the earlier things we had also overpopulation, I think, standing there. The dragons were overpopulating, so they expanded very rapidly, until Umbaronis was considered a traitor because he tried to force help or wanted help from the dragons, which they didn't give him, so they wanted to get him gone because they didn't want to help him, because arrogant dragons. They lost the fight against Umbaronis and he reduced the population to around 2 million. Electro and Gambra didn't fight him because they are his friends. And Sever got imprisoned for that because, well, it maybe was his thing because he wanted help with the thing that Selfa tried to convince him, so Sever maybe had an influence on it, which he also considered, that's why he did go to prison. And only 1 year later is where Umbaronis gets betrayed by Electro and Gambra, and they pretty much made him at least no longer a threat to them. And yeah, we come to my favorite year, almost by 2.5 million. The short stories that take place here are ChaosDragons, CyberDragons Reflection, ChaosDragons the Mercenaries, and ChaosDragons the Fallen Sun Dragon. Those are some pretty awesome short stories. Some of them have pretty nice things. This plays also in the Age of Silence, and then we have 2.5 ChaosDragons Ghidorah. That is the book I'm currently working at. And 4. That is still under development, so yeah, you have to wait a bit. Now we come to the future of this franchise. My plans for the future is first finish the book, then let you vote on the short stories you want to be one of the events I told about in this video. Or if you want just some of the characters that are appearing in short stories. The plan always is to make 3 to 5 short stories in between the books. At the beginning we had 10 to introduce just the franchise. My goal is when I make a part of a book, so part 1 of ChaosDragon Ghidorah, part 2. In between you can vote for 3 to 5 short stories that I will be offering, or you just... I see that the character has a lot of interest and you bring them up on Reddit or something. That are also linked on my... probably linked in the video description, where you can just check them out. Whichever has the highest votes when I make a thing by the YouTube thing, I will make a short story too. And then after each 3 to 5 short stories, I make another book. That is my plan for the future of the entire franchise. And how you can interact, I already said you can interact with me in Reddit or in YouTube. I make like... in the posts from YouTube, I make like some voting things. You can vote there from which videos you want to see or stories or something. I let you vote there. So good, we come to the end of the video. I have to say, when you liked it, you can like the video. Please subscribe. We are almost, well, we currently have like 50 subscribers. I'm really happy about it. Please subscribe. Have a nice day. And until then.